April 2026 monthly safety meeting. Our safety agenda is annual mobility device securement, incident prevention, ergonomics, and division updates. Safety moment, ergonomics and musculoskeletal health. Ergonomics means designing work to fit the worker, helping prevent injuries and keeping us working safely. Musculoskeletal disorders affect muscles, joints, tendons, nerves, and the spine. Warning signs include pain, stiffness, swelling, numbness, tingling, reduced strength, or limited range of motion. If you notice these symptoms, speak up early, report them to your supervisor or safety team. Key risk factors to watch for: forceful exertion, heavy lifting, pushing, pulling, awkward postures, overreaching, twisting, working overhead, static postures, sitting or standing too long, repetitive motions, repeated tasks without breaks. Remember, small adjustments today can prevent long-term injuries tomorrow. If something doesn't feel right, say something. Early action keeps us healthy and working safely. Right now we're doing the annual mobility device recertification. We do that once a year. Mobility device securement, what matters most and why? What operators need to know and why it matters. Loading, unloading, and securements are the highest risk moments. Most serious passenger injuries occur during these steps. Your actions during securement have the biggest impact on passenger safety. Proper procedure and documentation protect both passengers and operators. Key fundamentals to get it right every time. Front first, 4 down, 3 around. Position the mobility device correctly before securing. Apply all tie downs and passenger restraints correctly. Manage distractions, pause, refocus, and restart if needed. Take the time to cover every step, every passenger, every trip. Key takeaway: small steps during securement prevent serious injuries and protect everyone involved. Never ignore intuition. If you believe something is amiss, re-inspect to ensure securement was done properly. So this is the safety policy S36 for the Posey belt, which we don't use.
Are you okay? Hold on, pull over, ma'am. Hang on.
This is a video demonstration of a passenger unable to remain in their device due to the lack of a Posey belt. Personal restraints for passenger safety. This is part of the Posey belt. This is the review safety policy S29. This is a part of your safety meeting packet. So if you can sign the bottom and turn that in when you turn in your safety meeting. This is the safety policy S28. This one just needs an initial at the bottom when you turn in your safety meeting.
To properly operate your lift or ramp, there are a number of steps you should take when arriving to board people with disabilities. As you pull into the stop, look for customers using mobility devices, walkers, or crutches that may need to use the lift or ramp. Position the vehicle in the best possible location for deploying the lift or ramp.
Set up the positioning of your vehicle upon arrival. Be sure you will have a clear, unobstructed view of the lift or ramp as it moves. Stop on level ground with room for the platform to deploy. Make sure the road surface under the lift or ramp is free of large rocks, debris, or obstructions. Avoid stopping where customers will have to be taken over curbs, rough areas, snowbanks, through water, etc. Ensure the tow guard flap works properly by leaving sufficient space between the lift and the curb to board customers with disabilities. Park close enough to deploy the lift or ramp on the curb and sidewalk to board customers. As we learned in our reference points, strive for a distance of 6 to 12 inches from the curb, and leave room to maneuver a mobility device on or off the lift or ramp.
After stopping, secure your vehicle and set the parking brake. Boarding a customer who has a disability may require you to leave your driver's seat, so you always want to secure the bus before operating the lift. Turn on your hazard lights or four-way flashers, then exit the vehicle to greet your customer. Inform customers to stay back before operating the lift or ramp. Turn the control switch to the lift position. These vary depending on the model of vehicle you operate. Open and deploy the lift. Head over to greet your customer and introduce yourself at eye level. Talk with the person using the mobility device as they perform any maneuvers. Remember, effective communication is our key to success as a professional operator.
During lift or ramp operations and after onboard securement, it will be necessary to engage the brakes and/or power off the motorized wheelchair or scooter. If the customer has a power mobility device, ask them to power down the device.
If the power to the lift malfunctions, contact dispatch or your supervisor immediately. If this happens, you may need to operate the lift manually for drop-offs, but you should not pick up any more customers. Only manually operate the lift if you understand the procedure for the manufacturer and model of the lift in use. Your trainer will review this process in more detail. If help is needed to deboard customers on the lift manually, contact dispatch or your supervisor immediately. When you board customers using a mobility device or aid onto the lift, the customer should be rear-facing, that is, away from the vehicle for optimal safety. Under the ADA, the customer can elect to ride the lift in any other position they choose. However, loading facing away from the vehicle provides several advantages.
The majority of the weight is concentrated towards the supported end of the platform. Therefore, there is less weight transfer, which reduces the slope of the lift. There is no chance that the feet of the customer will get caught in the stop plate as the lift rises to floor level. As the professional operator, you can maintain better control by having access to the hand grips of the mobility device. The mobility device is in the best position to be rolled straight back into the securement spot in the vehicle.
Now let's go through each step on how to load a customer using the lift. Before we review these procedures, it's critically important that you eliminate all distractions during this process and stay focused on thoroughly completing each one of these steps. Missing just one step could result in a serious injury to your customer. So without any distractions, and this includes avoiding conversation with the customer so you can stay focused, let's review the process from the top.
First, turn the lift power on. Make sure it's free from hazards and is ready for the customer. Next, open the lift doors, unfold the lift, and lower it to the ground. If equipped, keep the inner and outer lift belts in place until you are at the front of the lift with the customer.
When assisting customers onto the lift, it's important to communicate every step of the process. Describe the lift operation to the customer before actually using it, and then let them know what to expect. Ask if the customer has used a lift or ramp before. If they have not, briefly explain the procedure.
Unlatch the outer lift belt. Then board the customer and their device onto the lift. Let them know and make sure they're ready. If using a mobility device, back the customer onto the lift rear-facing and set the brakes. Make sure the device's brakes are set and locked, and the device and customer are secure to be loaded on the lift.
Operators are not to ride the lift with the customer. The only two exceptions include when the customer is ambulatory, unstable, and demands or requires assistance from you while using the lift, or they are visually impaired and they demand or require assistance from you. With a mobility device, ask the customer to place his or her hands on their lap and make sure their feet are clear of the toe guard flap to avoid any injury while loading. If the lift has securement handles, ask the customer to take hold of them.
Always keep a hand close behind their back as you lift them to help if they lose balance and sway. Always inform the customer before the lift is engaged and let them know you're about to use it. Hold onto the mobility device when raising and lowering the lift. Raise the lift to the floor level with one smooth operation.
Be aware your customer may try to help by moving themselves. Explain to them what you're doing and kindly ask them to please sit still while you go through the procedure for their safety.
Once the lift platform is level with the vehicle floor, unlatch the inner lift belt and unlock the brakes, keeping a hand on the mobility device. Pull the mobility device back into the transit vehicle and off the lift. Re-engage the brakes on the mobility device. This prevents the customer from rolling back onto the lift. Release the mobility device brakes and steer or move the customer into the securement location. Lock the brakes when positioned properly and proceed to secure the device with the securement system. Secure the customer using the 4-down, 3-around securement system, which will be covered in our next lesson.
At times, you'll need to transport customers with respiratory conditions that require oxygen containers. They may bring an oxygen cart aboard where they'll transport what's necessary for their trip. However, it must be secured. There are 3 things you should never do.
Never store oxygen bottles in the aisle. Never transport a leaking cylinder. Never transport a cylinder that is dented, gouged, or pitted.
Secure each cylinder to prevent movement and leakage. Secure means the cylinder is not free to move while the vehicle is in motion. Please note, cylinders should be equipped with a valve protection cap. The procedure of loading a customer and then properly securing them must be done 100% accurately and thoroughly every time. Now that you have safely boarded your customer, let's look at the most important customer assistance technique of all: properly securing your customers and their mobility devices or aids. We'll also cover properly using the lift for deboarding. As the professional operator, it's your responsibility to secure customers and their mobility devices or aids when they board your vehicle, using the 4-down, 3-around securement technique. The 4-down refers to the 4-point tie-down or securement on the mobility device or aid. The 3-around refers to the 3-point lap and shoulder strap used to properly secure the customer. When you get your customer safely loaded into the vehicle, the first thing you need to focus on is safely securing them. Be aware that mobility devices can be designed with any number of modifications. Some of the more common variations you may see include extended backs for upper body and neck support, brake lever extensions for those unable to reach the standard brake levers, removable footrest and armrest, a work tray, and other design features. Regardless of the type of variations that you may see, all mobility devices and aids must be properly secured, and the 4-down, 3-around is your key to doing so. Before you do that, remind yourselves of the importance of eliminating all distractions while doing this. As mentioned before, you must stay focused on thoroughly completing each one of these steps. Missing just one step could result in a serious injury to your customer. While doing this process, avoid talking to the customer so you do not become distracted.
If you become distracted, take a pause and reset yourself on the procedures for proper securement. If for any reason you become distracted in the process, start the process over again. Do not rush through it.
So without distractions, let's start by reviewing the steps to properly secure 4-down first.
The 4-point tie-down provides stability in a moving vehicle. It also prevents the mobility device from tilting, tipping, or twisting during normal driving or crashes. Position the customer onto the securement area. Center the mobility device between the floor attachments and set the brakes. If it's a powered mobility device, set the brakes and power it down so the device can't move. Start by securing the 2 front floor anchors in the floor track. And don't forget, make sure to bend with your legs as we reviewed in our injury prevention lesson. Next, secure the 2 rear floor anchors in the floor track. Attach the straps as high on the chair as possible, but no higher than the seat. The ideal angle for securement straps is 45 degrees out from the chair frame. If you're using a cam locking system, attach the front straps first to the solid junction of the wheelchair frame. The rear straps should be attached to a solid junction of the frame just below seat level on a basic wheelchair. The rear straps should be parallel with rear wheels or slightly flared out, while the front straps should flare out slightly for lateral stability. Route each strap in a straight line. Do not bend it around a wheel or other object. Do not attach the securement straps to the wheels or any removable parts of the device, such as armrests or footrests. These could easily break during a crash and don't provide maximum stability. Do not attach securement straps to the folding cross brace of a standard wheelchair or armrest brackets. These could also easily bend or break during a crash and also do not provide maximum stability. Use the webbing loop straps to secure around devices where there isn't an obvious place to set the hook. Tighten all straps, but don't over-tighten. A ratchet-type tightener could easily bend a standard wheelchair frame. The final step is to test the mobility device to be sure you can't move it more than 2 inches in any direction. This must be done as the final step in your process, every time. When in doubt, contact dispatch. If you're not sure you're properly securing your customer, call dispatch or your supervisor for help.
Remember, this is the most important technique you'll do for a person in a mobility device. They're completely dependent on you to secure them and their device correctly. Now that we have properly secured the mobility device or aid, our next step is to properly secure the customer using the 3-around securement approach. Remember, proper positioning is important. Restraint belts need to fit well in order to provide the most protection in a crash. If not, your customer could experience serious injuries. Before we review the procedures, let's talk first about your important role as the professional. Your customers can experience the greatest number of personal space issues and become uncomfortable when you're fastening them using the lap and shoulder belt. So as we've previously discussed, communication and continued professionalism is the key to your success. The most sensitive aspect of this procedure is the securement of the lap belt restraint. Before you begin securing the customer, communicate your intention. If they ask, you may allow them to secure the lap restraint on their own. However, keep in mind that it's your responsibility to always confirm the restraint is secured properly. So remember to double check if the customer chooses to secure it on their own. It is your job to ensure a safe ride for your customers. While securing the lap restraint, it's critical that you bring the belt to its fully extended position as you place it around them to avoid contact with sensitive areas. Along with communication, this technique will help ensure that your intentions are clear. When you're ready to secure the customer, use the lap belt and shoulder harness provided as part of the securement system, following the manufacturer's instructions.
Lap belts should cross the customer low on the pelvis, snug but not tight. Shoulder belts should be attached to the lap belt and be adjusted to cross the customer on the shoulder. If shoulder belts are not spring tensioned, leave enough slack to fit a closed fist between the shoulder belt and the customer. Under the ADA, customers can refuse to wear the seatbelt. Make sure they understand the safety concerns in not wearing one. But if they refuse, document it on your drive cam. It works best to state, "I'm going to put your seatbelt on now for your safety," and if they don't want one, they will tell you. However, be sure to reiterate that without a seatbelt, they are not safe and are in danger of a fall or injury. As the professional operator, you need to communicate that you would really like to ensure they are safe by adding the seatbelt. If they still refuse the seatbelt, contact dispatch and make sure that you drive slow and extra silky smooth.
Remember, when securing customers using a mobility device, tell them what you wish to do prior to doing it and ask them for permission. It's important to understand that not all mobility devices are wheelchairs. There's a variety of devices people use for moving around. One device that will have special consideration is a 3-wheel scooter. The same 4-down, 3-around securement technique must be followed. It's important that the process is completed without any distractions, as every step must be executed accurately and thoroughly. Before we review the special considerations of performing the 4-down, 3-around securement technique on a 3-wheel scooter, let's first talk about some of the hazards of a 3-wheel scooter. Since a 3-wheeled scooter has one less wheel, a smaller wheelbase, and a smaller platform than a 4-wheel scooter or wheelchair, Stability can be an issue at times, especially when traveling in a vehicle. For that reason, if a customer is using a three-wheel scooter, you as the professional operator should ask him or her to transfer to a seat, and the empty scooter should be secured. However, in accordance with the ADA, if the customer wishes to ride the scooter, you must allow them to do so. Although this is allowed by the ADA, explain to the customer that it's not safe to do so and that you'd be happy to help them to a seat for their safety. Here are some ways to effectively communicate to your customer the importance of transferring to a seat if they're using a three-wheel mobility device.
Before I secure your scooter, please let me assist you in transferring to a seat for your safety. For your safety, I highly recommend it. Since scooters are not made to be sat on while riding in a bus, they are more prone to tipping and causing potential injury to the rider. I have seen examples of riders getting injured by electing to stay on their scooter and don't want you to be at risk for an injury. As mentioned, under the ADA, if your customer does not want to transfer to a seat, you cannot require it.
As mentioned under the ADA, if your customer does not want to transfer to a seat, you can't require it. When helping a customer move from a scooter to a seat in your vehicle, be sure you can reasonably accommodate the assistants and you're physically able. While assisting them, place your lead foot in front of the other for your own stability. Your other foot should be behind you to provide a good base of support. Have your customer grab onto your forearm or elbow while you grab onto theirs. When the customer stands, make sure they're okay before you begin walking. You'll want to confirm they're not dizzy and they're steady before you start walking. When in doubt, call for assistance. When you're ready to secure the scooter, you'll follow many of the same procedures for a four-wheel device, with just a few modifications.
Center the mobility device between the floor attachments. Set the brakes or power down the mobility device. The front securement will include a webbing loop strap that will hook around the central drive shaft and attach to the two front floor anchors. The front securements should be narrowly set to help stabilize the device. The two rear securements should flare out in the back at a 45-degree angle. Tighten all straps, but do not over-tighten. Test the mobility device to be sure you cannot move it more than 2 inches in any direction. If the customer remains on the device, secure your customer with the lap belt and shoulder harness. And again, when in doubt, call dispatch or your supervisor.
If you encounter other power mobility devices, ask the customer all the questions that you need so that you can understand the device and can provide them a safe, reliable, and enjoyable trip. If you have additional questions or are in doubt about the best way to properly secure the device, call dispatch or your supervisor for assistance. Keep in mind that for all mobility devices, the same rules apply and are required for optimal safety and securement of the device and customer. A 4-point securement system to a fixed location on the device is required, and you should properly secure the customer using the lap and shoulder restraint. When in doubt, call dispatch or your supervisor. Once you safely arrive at their destination and are ready to deboard your customer, you'll follow many of the same procedures you executed during your pickup. Always remind your customer to stay secure and wait for you to move them. Explain what you're doing so they understand and they'll wait for you. When you're ready, first prepare and lower the lift, then go back to remove your customer's securements. Always remind your customer to stay secure and wait for you to come back to move them. If you release the securements first, the customer may try to help themselves or move around inside the vehicle and could get hurt on your watch. The safest thing to do is get the lift ready first and then release your 4 down and 3 around. Here are the steps you should follow to help your customer deboard.
Position the vehicle in the best possible location for deploying the lift or ramp. Strive for a distance of 6 to 12 inches from the curb. Secure the vehicle as required. Turn on your 4-way flashers. Turn the lift switch on. Open the lift doors and set the lift at floor level position. Secure the interior and exterior lift straps across the lift where applicable. When you're ready, tell your customer that you're going to remove their lap and shoulder belt and then the securement straps. Once securement straps are removed, place them in the storage bag out of the way. If necessary, assist the customer with releasing the brake of their mobility device. Release the inner lift strap and guide them onto the lift.
At this point, it's important to note that when you're assisting a customer onto the lift platform, that you advise them of what you're going to do. Remember, communication gives your customer the security of understanding what will happen next so they know how to respond.
Now guide the wheelchair forward and center it onto the lift platform. Make sure the brakes are set and locked or the device is powered down. It could result in an awful injury if your customer wheeled off the lift. Fasten the inner lift strap. Remind the customer to remain still and wait for you to assist them. Inform them you are about to move the lift and then deploy the lift. Keep one hand on the wheelchair as you lower the lift platform. Open or release the outer lift belt once the lift is at the floor level.
Pay close attention to the operation of the lift and the movement of your customer while lowering them to the floor level. Do not allow yourself to become distracted by outside events. It is important that you focus on the operation of the lift and the customer at all times.
Make sure you and others are clear of the lift's moving parts during its operation. Lower the lift platform until it makes level contact with the ground and the front barrier lowers for deboarding. Once the lift is down, guide your customer off the lift and then lock their brakes. Stow the lift and close the door. Remove the posy restraint and then ensure the customer is safely delivered to their destination. If applicable, replace the wheelchair lift cover. Turn off the power to the lift. When back in your seat, make sure to put your seatbelt back on, and when it's safe to do so, safely pull away from the curb, slowly and smoothly.
There are a few things you need to know about the ADA and customers using the lift.
The ADA requires us to allow anyone to use the lift or ramp if they request it. Any customer with a mobility problem may ask to use the lift. Operators must permit customers with disabilities to use the lift or ramp to board and alight from the bus whether or not they use a mobility aid. When you're helping a customer, always keep a hand close behind their back to support them while lifting them, just in case they lose balance and sway. As mentioned earlier in the lesson, do not ride the lift with the customer.
As the professional operator, it's your responsibility to ensure the safe, reliable, and enjoyable ride for your customers. When doing so, remember the following facts.
Slow, steady turns must be made at no more than 3 to 5 miles per hour. Care and judgment are needed to avoid unnecessary bumps or potholes. If a road is unavoidably bumpy, slow down and ease the vehicle through. Acceleration and deceleration should be smooth and steady. Stops should begin far enough back to prevent the customer from feeling a hard backward movement. A smooth ride will also require the proper speed for all conditions.
Any sudden vehicle movement, including cornering speed and hard acceleration or braking, can jostle your customer and lead to injury. Now that we've thoroughly reviewed customer assistance and securement, let's review some important considerations to keep in mind and practice day in and day out for every customer.
In the event of a collision, do not evacuate customers who are using a mobility aid or wheelchairs unless there is imminent danger. If you are unable to board a customer using a wheelchair or mobility aid because of an inoperative lift or ramp, you must contact the dispatcher. An attendant traveling with the customer using a mobility device is not required to assist you with the boarding, alighting, or the securement process. You are required to ensure that the mobility device and customer are secured. You are required to give customers with disabilities more time to board and alight. You must permit service animals to board the bus or van. Lifts and ramps should be cycled every day to ensure they operate properly. You must also keep records of the results on your DVIR. Priority seating areas and securement areas must be labeled. Therefore, it is the responsibility of the operator to report missing or damaged signs or labels. When in doubt, contact dispatch or your supervisor.
The objective of this thorough training, including our set policies related to the ADA, is to achieve zero injuries and incidents. The procedures discussed in this section are to be considered as the minimum acceptable standards to be followed. The customers who choose to use our service depend on us to provide care and concern by making a safe and reliable ride. All customers are to be loaded, secured, transported, and unloaded according to company policy and training. Here's a list of things you should never forget when assisting customers with disabilities.
Always check to ensure that mobility devices do not move more than 2 inches in any direction. The wheelchair and the occupant should be properly secured prior to moving the vehicle. Double check before you get behind the wheel. Company policy is to always secure with a 4-point tie-down and a 3-point customer restraint system. Each of the 4 corners of the device must be restrained by a strap to a permanently mounted floor bracket. Failure to do so will result in disciplinary action, including termination of employment. Crash test studies have shown that a customer in a wheelchair can be vulnerable to injury at speeds of less than 20 miles per hour. So properly securing a mobility device and maintaining safe speeds is extremely important.
Using the lift and the securement of our customers are 2 of the highest risk maneuvers that you'll perform on a daily basis. A failure to perform just one of the steps we've reviewed can result in a serious injury of someone's father, mother, son, or daughter. This job is very rewarding, which you'll soon learn, but you can't ever forget that the safety of our customers is in your hands.
Mobility device securement process. Secure front first, window to aisle. Secure back glass, window to aisle. Secure the passenger with the lap belt and shoulder harness.
Go ahead and assist you, okay? And help you out with that. Wow! What happened?
I fell over.
Hold on. Are you okay? Go ahead and assist.
Be courteous and focused on safety. Always greet, interact, and ask, "How can I assist you?" Avoid long conversations that can distract from your duties. Restart the task if you become distracted to make sure nothing was missed. Using commentary to learn mobility device securement. Commentary training technique. Trainer performs the task using commentary while the student observes. Narrate actions and observations. Verbally describe what can be seen, heard, or done. Anticipate and plan. Anticipate potential challenges and plan actions accordingly. Focus on why, not what. Describe why you are doing something, not what is being done. The student performs the task using commentary while the trainer observes and coaches. To complete mobility device securement recertification, you will be evaluated on the proper inspection of the equipment, proper loading and unloading, properly securing the device front first, 4 down, properly securing the passenger 3 around, and utilizing commentary driving. Incident prevention and ergonomics. Have you ever experienced any kind of pain or discomfort in your back, neck, knees, arms, or legs at the end of a shift? Why are we talking about ergonomics? Did you know that in 2025 we experienced 153 strain work comp ergonomic injuries? These injuries average 12 days away from work and 26 days of restricted duties. Of the 153 injuries, 11 were caused by poor body ergonomics while securing a wheelchair. Push, not pull, when moving a mobility device. Pushing uses leg strength, spine remains straight, requires less effort, controlled movement, full visibility to travel direction. Pulling relies on back and arms, no visibility to travel direction, requires more effort, risk of overexertion, less movement control. Bend at the knees, not the waist. It is our responsibility to our employees that we teach proper body mechanics and ergonomics every day. Proper body mechanics prevent injuries to our employees. Poor ergonomics can result in compromised safety performance. It is the responsibility of everyone to ensure that trainers provide accurate instructions and that employees perform tasks correctly.
Get it warm in here for you. You're welcome. 4 down, 3 around. And a posy belt. 10-4.
Commitment to safety. Eliminate distractions. Commitment to safety. Eliminate distractions during mobility device securement. If you become distracted at any point, pause and start the process over. Follow the securement standard every time. Position correctly. Secure front first. Complete all tie downs and apply passenger restraints as required. Use proper body mechanics during loading, unloading, and securement. Bend at the knees, maintain balance, and take the time needed to work safely. Safety is a personal commitment. Every passenger, every device, every trip requires full focus, consistency, and care. Can you please check your driver app under comms and see if you have any training documents to sign? If you need your password reset, see myself or somebody in the safety department. So once you check on comms and you see this training documents bubble, that means you have documents to sign. If you do not have that training documents bubble, you do not need to sign anything. But with the wheelchair recertification, And if you've been in any type of retraining, then you probably have documents in there. This is our Own the Moment. From January to February, we moved up to spot 3. Positive recognition and updates. This is for anybody who's had a customer compliment. Your certificate should be in your mailbox. If you notice your name misspelled or anything, just let me know and we'll correct it. And just to reiterate, we're doing the wheelchair recertifications. This video counts for the classroom portion of your recertification, and then if you haven't already, just see a trainer and get your hands-on recertification part done. If you've already done the hands-on, then this video will complete your wheelchair recertification once you turn in your safety meeting paperwork. Thank you.